I would like to talk about something that has been the subject of much discussion over the past several years in school board meetings, courts of law, and on the internet, and that is creation science, or as it is currently known, intelligent design. Intelligent design proponents tell us that the earth and all the life on it was created by a supernatural intelligence, usually referred to as God. This has led many in the scientific and skeptical community to ask questions like, if life was created by an intelligent designer, why do we have things like vestigial organs, nipples on male mammals, a human jaw that is much too small for all of the teeth that are trying to grow into it? Why do whales and other marine mammals have bones in their flippers that are very nearly identical to the human hand and the platypus? Others have pointed out that the Earth itself seems to have design flaws, such as tectonic plates that bump and grind up against each other, causing earthquakes and tsunamis that kill tens and even hundreds of thousands of people at a time. Weaknesses in the Earth's crust that result in volcanoes erupting and knocking off another few thousand people here and there. And still others have pointed out the seemingly fucked up weather systems that result in things like a few years back, Bangladesh was under 6 feet of water, while large portions of the southwestern United States were on fire, not to mention extreme storms, hurricanes, and tornadoes that managed to knock off a few hundred people each year. There actually is a very simple explanation for all of this. Intelligent design proponents tell us that the Earth is somewhere between 6 and 10,000 years old. However, archaeologists have discovered that beer was invented around 9,000 BC. That's a little over 11,000 years ago, which means that beer was invented at least 1,000 years, if not 5,000 years before the Earth was created. So the question then becomes not how old the Earth is, but how many pints God had put away before he started work on it. So, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, as you would expect it to be if God was completely fucking hammered. And darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. I don't actually recall it mentioning God creating the waters, and I really don't care to speculate on where the waters came from. And God said, I can't see what the fuck I'm doing. Let there be light. And there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and the evening and the morning were the first day. And after this, God seems to have sobered up a bit, because God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. And God called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day. This was actually a very sensible thing to do, because you do want to keep your drinking water supply separate from your wastewater. And God said, let the waters under heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. And apparently by the third day, God had popped the tab on a few more cans of Guinness, because obviously the water isn't gathered together in one place. It's all over the globe, and the dry land came up in uneven clumps. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters he called seas, and God saw that it was good. And God said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And it was so. And the earth brought forth grass, and herb yielding seed after its kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And at this point, it probably would have been a good idea for God to lay off the beer and switch to herb, but unfortunately that appears not to have been the case. And the evening and the morning were the third day. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night. Apparently he'd forgotten he'd already done that. And let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And God made the two great lights, the lesser light to rule the day, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God said that it was good. Now, down the road a bit, I think God probably wished he would have laid off the beer on this particular day, because it's apparent from this passage that God did intend for people to use astrology. But later on, somewhere around the book of Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, one of those, God decided that he didn't want people to use divination, and astrology is a form of divination. So he probably realized it wasn't such a hot idea to arrange the stars and planets the way he did. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day. And God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life, and the fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. And God created great whales, and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let the fowl multiply in the earth. At this point, I would like to point out that the Bible is scientifically accurate here. Life did, in fact, originate in the sea. And the evening and the morning were the fifth day. And God said, let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing, and the beast of the earth after his kind. And it was so. And God made the beast of the earth after his kind, and the cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And at this point, I'm thinking the scribe probably had had a few himself, because he's repeating himself an awful lot. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. And God blessed them and said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. Replenish, doesn't that imply that the earth was populated before this to have, and lost population to have to be replenished? It's a little odd. And subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the air and the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. And God said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree, and which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. And to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, And to everything that creepeth upon the earth wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat. And it was so. And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the sixth day. It's obvious that God intended for all life on earth to subsist on a vegan diet. Unfortunately, due to excessive consumption of beer, when God created this life, there were a lot of design flaws, which resulted in this not being the case. And thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. And on the seventh day, God ended his work which he had made, and he rested upon the seventh day from all his work which he had made. Scribe's repeating himself again. And God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, that in it he had rested from all his work which God had created and made. And there's some boring stuff we can skip over. Okay. And the Lord said, what the fuck happened to those people I made? Actually, that part's not in the Bible, but it is apparent that the people he made had gone missing. Most likely, after a few rounds of obeying God's command to be fruitful and multiply, they decided they'd like a beer. But God wasn't sharing his beer, so they left and apparently settled in the land of Nod, which actually would explain how later on Cain managed to find a wife without marrying one of his own sisters, but that's a subject for another video. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. And God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. And out of the ground God made to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food. I hope he planted a lot of herb. The tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And let's see, more boring stuff. Okay, verse 15. And the Lord God took the man and put him into the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. And the Lord God commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat, for in the day that thou eatest thereof thou shalt surely die. I have to wonder, if God did not intend for the man to eat of the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, why did he put it smack dab in the middle of the garden? Sounds like a setup, doesn't it? And the Lord God said, it is not good for the man to be alone. I will make an helpmeet for him. Apparently God had either started drinking again or was extremely hungover, because he forgot to create a female human this time. And out of the ground the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air. Apparently he had been drinking to the point of blackout on the 5th and 6th day, because obviously he forgot that he already did this. And also originally the birds came out of the water. And he brought them unto Adam to see what he could call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. And Adam gave names to all cattle, and to the fowl of the air, and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found an helpmeet for him. I really don't want to know what Adam was doing with the animals to figure out that none of them made for a suitable helpmeet. And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept, and he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. I don't think God was in any condition to be performing surgery at this point. And the rib which the Lord God had taken from the man, he made a woman and brought her unto the man. And he really wasn't in any condition to be doing this, because I can tell you from personal experience, the human female body has a lot of design flaws. And Adam said, "This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh." I have to wonder how Adam even had a concept of a father and mother, because he and Eve were basically, well, he was made out of dirt and Eve was made out of his ribs. They didn't have a mother and a father. They were the first humans. They didn't have parents. And they were both naked, the man and his wife, and they were not ashamed, nor did they have any reason to be.